Chad, welcome to our Indian Springs Learning Facility. You're the first video we've had in here. We're still under construction, as you can tell, but you seem so frantic with your swing on the direct message. I felt like I needed to get something out to you quicker rather than later. I've got a little bit using V1 software, kind of going over your swing. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you a few practical things you can do to work on it. Okay, Chad, just wanted to let you see your swing here. So as we go back to the top, you look pretty good here. And then in the transition, your hands raise and then they pull the club down. You can see the action of the hands and arms pulling the club down at the golf ball. And so when your left arm gets parallel to the ground, somewhere in there, your shaft alignment would be inside the golf ball, and then this sweet spot right there is quite high to the ground, and we see as you continue to turn down, it's still pretty far up there. This is a low camera angle for sure, but that sweet spot is riding in pretty high, and now the shaft alignment is just slightly outside of your toe line, and so you're coming down across the ball and steeply. And so what we want to do, and what we're going to talk about in my teaching bay, is how do I get this shaft to lay down so it comes in from a lower position and we can sweep the ball a little bit more from a shallow angle and get that so-called flat spot or widen the arc at the bottom. All right, Chad, we're back. So this message is for you and really all of your buddies out there that tend to get this shaft coming down a little too steeply. So we saw in the video that as you go from the top and you start your downswing, you pull the club with your hands, you pull this handle down. And so I would say that's a very active move. And in doing so, this shaft gets above that shoulder, and now it sets this sweet spot up to be in a very steep position coming down. So we got to take the sweet spot of this golf club, that's the middle of your club face, and get it to shallow out and drop down a little bit so that it has a wider arc at the bottom, that so-called flat spot that you're looking for. Okay, so here's what you need to do, all your buddies out there that struggle with getting a little steep. From the top, as we get up to the top, before we get to the top, okay, we're going to need to turn our body and pivot our body one way and let the club fall down. So our hands and our arms are going to be very passive in that regard. Our right elbow may move in towards the ball. Our wrist may drop a little bit as we turn down. So you're going to sit and turn, and what that does is that keeps your right shoulder from dropping down. We wouldn't want to drop down to shallow it out because that's going to move our upper center of gravity too far back. So you're going to sit and turn, and in doing so, you're going to let this club fall. And as you do that, okay, you're going to flex this lead wrist, your left wrist if you're right-handed, and that's going to get that club in a nice square position, low to the ground, and now it's in a shallow spot. Okay, what that may feel like is, think of your right hand and index finger like a gun. So in a steep position, as you come down, see, I'm pointing my gun over there, and then it's going to point down in front of me when this club gets parallel to the ground. That would be very steep and outside, okay? So if I want it to come down in a more shallow position, this gun's going to point down towards the ground and more behind me. Now it's in line, and from there, my gun pointing down, my shoulders level, not leaning back. I can then continue to rotate through and press off the ground and hit it as high and as far as I want, taking nice shallow divots. And what that's going to do is stabilize the face. So I'm going to hit shots that curve a little more consistently. I'm going to hit shots on a more consistent trajectory, and I'm going to hit shots in the end that are more solid. So those are the things you want to do. Sit and turn, right? Keeping my shoulders level. Get the shaft to point down by pointing our gun down and back a little bit, and then you're ready to go from there. You can explode up and hit it as good as you want. If you got any questions, you know where to find me.